This is the fan motor on the Wood Gun E100, and this will be my first attempt to shoot a instructional video on how to remove the fan, remove the bearing on the fan, and the end switch. So the first thing we did was shut the main power off, and the next thing I'm going to do is take off this end cap and then get in here where the power is and disconnect the power line so that I can, when I pull the whole motor off, can have free access. So there are some screws on the end plate that I have to remove right here, and I'll remove those. I'm going to pause the video for now so that I don't bore you with the details. Okay, so the end cap is off. There was 3 screws that hold it on place, and it exposes these 4 screws that I believe later on I will have to remove. Now I'm going to open up the power source and disconnect the power lines. The junction box cover plate is off, and this bundle of wires are exposed now. The yellow wire, which comes out of the power line feed, goes to the white wire, and the blue wire that comes out of that power feed goes to this bundle that has a blue, orange, and black in it. So I will remove those. The ground I disconnected already, and I'll be able to then remove the rest of the motor. Alright, the next step is to remove these bolts with a 9/16 wrench. There's 4 of them all around the plate, and then we'll be able to pull the fan assembly off of the wood gun. Okay, now that the 4 bolts are off, it will take a little bit of prying. I had a piece of metal that I pried against the door over here and here and a little bit down here just to wiggle it off, and now it's loose and it'll come off, okay, in one swift move. That exposes the heat exchange swirl tube, and the fan assembly is off. I can move this now to a workbench and work off of that. While the fan assembly is off, it makes sense to get in here and clean this off. A clean swirl chamber will give you better heat exchange and better, quicker heating of your water. So you can scrape it off like this, or you can get some wire wheels and put it on here and scrape all this off on the inside, scrape all this off on the outer ring, and clean that whole thing out, the whole assembly. That's looking all the way back at the front load door. But there's not too much caked on here. It's just a thin layer of ash that's on here. So I'll do that after I take apart the fan. Alright, the next step will be to remove these 2 set screws here and pull off this fan assembly. I'm going to be replacing it, the bearing and the end switch on this motor. So I'll take this fan assembly off and let you know how that comes apart. I believe I'm going to need to get a gear puller with a center pin, and the prongs I'll have to thread on a nut and pull this off if it has to be. Let me see. These set screws took some persuasion. I used a 1/4 inch open end with a breaker bar on top of it to actually loosen them up. Took some persuasion there. The next attempt will be to pull this off. There's the center post, and then this fan assembly has to come off. It won't come off right now by itself. It's too locked on, so I'm gonna have to try to find the nut that will fit this. That's the threaded end over here, and then use a jaw puller to remove that. Alright, well, the set screws, I took the set screws out. That was a task in itself. Had to heat them up. And now I still can't get this off, so I've been heating this thing up with a propane torch. So hopefully this will loosen it up, but this is quite a task trying to heat this up and get it off. Now the attempt is to use a air gun on this pulley. Go ahead, give it a shot.
It's gonna be hot, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a bar or something to put in there or not? A screwdriver or?